Well, hello, everyone. This is John Byrne with Fridays with Sandy Kreisberg, the founder of HBSGuru.com. There he is in Boston. Hi, Sandy.
Happy autumn, everybody. Welcome to and happy Friday.
And I'm going to take the mystery out of this for everyone. Our candidate today is one of the best candidates we've ever had. I'm going to tell you, if you want to know what an ideal candidate for Harvard and Stanford
no pressure, John. No
looks
pressure.
like, it's this one. Her name is Zoe. She has a 770 GMAT. We're bowing at that. Splits are 99 verbal, 87 quant. She has a 3.9 from Georgetown, where her major was in international economics. She has worked for Primavera Capital Group, which is a Chinese-focused PE firm of some note, very substantial revenues under investment. And she has been a research analyst and now an investment analyst with them, meaning she's gotten a promotion. She reports directly to the founder and chairman. The firm has 3 offices where Zoe works in Hong Kong. She's also done a rotation in Beijing, and who knows, maybe she'll be in Silicon Valley soon in the 3rd office. Her target schools, Harvard, Stanford, Wharton, and NCI. Sandy, come on, you have to agree. Zoe is one of the best candidates.
I don't agree with
ever.
anything. Hey, John, how do people like Zoe get dinged?
Well, they come off as not humble. They come off as
they blow the interview in any one of
arrogant.
So we're going to do a kind of a mock.
Yep.
I think your chances are very good. The fact you went to Georgetown, you got a 3.9. You've worked at Primavera Capital Group, which Zoe, tell us about that.
Yeah.
Hi, Zoe.
Hi, everyone. The firm that I currently work for, Primavera Capital Group, is a China-focused private equity firm. We have about 15 billion US dollar in asset under management, and we do a variety of investments in traditional private equity buyouts and growth equity investments. And we now have offices in Hong Kong, Beijing, and Silicon Valley, with about 40 full-time investment professionals.
What do you think of that answer, John?
I think it's that was pretty boilerplate. If anything, it lacked some, personal connection.
Yeah, what is our favorite admissions officer's word for that?
I don't know. Scripted?
You do know. And who is our favorite admissions officer?
I would say,
well, who?
Yeah.
Folks, we're just, I don't want to get involved in in-jokes here. We want to bring everybody in. Who is our favorite admissions officer? Ms. Deirdre C. Leopold, who used to be the director of admissions at Harvard Business School and now runs the 2+2 program. And in the course of her public discussions about how people blow the Harvard interview, she said one of the ways smart people screw up the Harvard interview is because they sound scripted. Scripted is the word. Now that could mean anything from actually scripted to I don't really like you, but I'm not going to say why, so I'm going to call it scripted. It's always a danger out there. Okay, let's get back to our candidate here, Zoe.
Well, I will say the way that Zoe answered the question was right on, very focused, very clear, but it did feel scripted and boilerplate. And the difference there would be to kind of package all that, but say something personal about the firm. How it's a very family oriented. I mean, people feel like they're very close together.
Yeah, okay. She's a smart applicant, John. I think she can pick it up. Hey, Zoe.
Yes.
After listening to Brother Byrne there, let's say the interview question. Your first interview question is, tell me about Primavera Capital Group.
Great. I'll redo that. Primavera Capital Group, I've been working for them since graduating from Georgetown in 2018. It is a private equity firm, China-focused private equity firm that does a variety of investments with 3 different offices. And I currently work in the Hong Kong office and completed a 6-month rotation in Beijing and hopefully would get a sort of a test run in the Silicon Valley office soon. We currently have about 40 investment professionals, which means that it's a pretty lean firm for a private equity firm with,
Yeah. Hey, John, how's she doing?
I think I like this better than the first one. And you know why? The first line was I got there from Georgetown. And then she expressed a desire to go to Silicon Valley after having done the rotation in Beijing. So that personalizes it a bit.
Yeah. All right. In reality, they'll interrupt. We just let you go, which is actually no. That makes things harder.
Yeah.
The reality of a Harvard or Stanford interview is that they'll interrupt you, which often makes things easier. But you should be prepared to do a kind of boilerplate, not a boilerplate, but a personalized, shorter account of what it is.
Okay.
I would make it shorter if they're being mean and not interrupting. Okay, here's a more likely interview question. What do you want your classmates to know about China?
Excellent. I think I want them to know that China is actually a very innovative country with, it's no longer a copycat of either business models or scientific research, but it has been, really producing a lot of original research, a lot of scientists, a lot of new commercialization ideas, a lot of new businesses that have seen a lot of success, not only domestically, but also we've seen even copycats of Chinese business overseas. And I think there was kind of this ingrained, a bit of a prejudice from the rest of the country, the rest of the world, thinking that, you're from China, you copy somebody else.
Yeah, blah, blah, blah. You're saying the same thing over again. What 3 things do you want your classmates to know about China?
First is China is a very big place. So, there's Beijing, Shanghai, Guangzhou, but then also lower tier cities where a lot of the growth is coming from. And the majority of the consumption power is coming from actually right now is from those lower tier cities. That's number 1. Number 2 is that it is a very innovative country, what I just previously mentioned. And number 3 is that it is a very increasingly nationalist country. I'm not saying that with an optimistic view. I think it's getting increasingly close to itself. And personally, having
how hard is it? Yeah, that answer is acceptable. Once again, they'll interrupt, and it's a hard question. Personally, I had a hard time following what you were saying. It was all some kind of high-level static to me. I think you need to just being real tough here. I think you need to have your answers punchier. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
John, what do you think about what I just said?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, often the problem with interviews is that, you just want to go on and be friendly and talk the way you would normally talk and maybe with a little tension because, of course, so much at stake. And yet you still need to be succinct and very clear, and brevity is important.
Yeah, and just getting to the point is important. Don't be a professor. That's what you see. That's your secret weakness. Okay, you've got a professorial mindset. You're like John. You like teaching people stuff and professing and casting your wisdom out.
I want to know who is. Here's another question: who is Zoe's role model?
I think Courtney Dahlwater. I don't know if anybody of you have heard about her. But
Tell us about her.
She is the most accomplished female trail runner in, I guess, in the whole history She
Wow.
rewrites a lot of the records, and she recently competed in the most impressive, the most important ultra marathon race in the whole world, and came in 7th overall, competing with all the male athletes as well.
Yeah, so why is she a role model, aside from being a very good long distance runner?
She just has been very dedicated in her career, being very laser focused in what she does, which I think I certainly lack a little bit, and I would like to work on that. And she just has really not been afraid to, rewrite what other people thought about trail running and thought about what women can achieve in such a competitive sport. She's also contributed a lot to the whole community as well. When she was breaking the record, she's not doing it for herself, but also to make sure that she's there on the trail helping other runners complete their course. So I thought that was really powerful.
All right.
Wow.
What you do is what people typically do. They talk themselves into the right answer. Okay. So after the first half of your answer was digressive and unclear, you then kind of figured it out. What you have to try to do in an interview is, and I say this every week, you got to answer the question immediately.
Mm-hmm.
So if the question is, why is she a role model? You've got to say she's a role model. For one thing, she's incredibly generous with her time and effort to help other upcoming talents. Another reason she's a role model is she overcame this type of adversity. And the third reason she's a role model is because I just admire her success. She's broken records by a lot. And all of those things make her a role model for me. You get the difference? I mean, I was making it up, but do you understand the format?
Yes, it's very clear, just to the point and get things out there.
Correct. Okay, this would be another really hard interview question. I noticed one of your big deals at Primavera was this acquisition of the Mead Johnson Greater China business from Reckitt Benckiser Group. Could you tell me, first of all, quickly tell me what that acquisition was, and could you tell me a so-called SWOT, SWOT, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats? Could you do that kind of an analysis on the target, which I'm sure you did do as part of your research?
Sure. Just on the transaction background, Reckitt Benckiser is selling Mead Johnson, which is a global infant nutrition company, their Greater China business, because it had a lot of challenge in responding to the changing market dynamics in China. So they wanted to find a local partner, and Primavera was the chosen partner for that acquisition. And in terms of the strength—
Okay, stop right there. Did you understand that, John?
Yeah, I understood it, but I get again how it feels a little scripted
and complicated. I mean, it is complicated, but you've got to make it uncomplicated.
Yeah, it's simple. Here's a company that needed help adjusting to the changing dynamics of the Chinese market. Our firm was the ideal partner because we have insights into that, period.
Well, there's this other aspect where what you acquired was the Greater Chinese business. So what is Reckitt Benckiser, sorry for the pronunciation, but what is Reckitt Benckiser Group, and how big was their China business? You see, the way to answer the question was, well, let me tell you about Reckitt Benckiser Group. It's a blah, 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 and 30% of their business was in China, blah, 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 blah. And what we noticed was an opportunity to acquire their China business for the following reasons. Doesn't that sound more logical and clear? Yes, it does. So could you do it that way?
Yeah, it's an excellent answer. Should I redo that or?
Sure.
Yeah, I want you to redo it, given the fact that you actually know I was giving it kind of a pro forma. I want you to redo it quickly, but with the actual facts.
Okay. Sure. Mead Johnson was a global infant nutrition company where 30% of its revenue is coming from Greater China, but the business there has encountered some difficulties because it wasn't able to respond quickly enough to the changes in the China market, because its owner or parent company, Reckitt Benckiser, was a UK-based company. So they decided to sell it to a local partner who could help the company be more localized and target Chinese consumers better. And Primavera was the ideal partner to them because we had a long history of helping multinational brands succeed in China. And we really liked this investment opportunity because it has excellent product. It was a globally renowned brand. It was selling very well in China until a lot of local competition caught on. And because of the inefficient decision-making process, they weren't able to catch up with the competition and didn't capture the growing market in some of the lower
Okay,
tier cities.
John, do you understand what she just said in the last 15 seconds?
Yes, I do, but I don't think you need to go on and give every detail. You always kind of want to.
But that's the most important detail. The reason they partnered with us was that they were having trouble competing against new competition.
Yes.
They were a large player and they couldn't handle upstart companies. Is that accurate?
Yes, that's correct. They couldn't compete against local players.
Yeah, well, I would.
And that was
leave
the back end of the answer. It should have been the front end of the answer.
Yeah, that's always the case. What happens is people talk themselves into the right answer, but it helps if you can give the right answer immediately.
Sure, because I've been pitching this deal to a lot of co-investors, so I had a tendency to give, like you said, be a professor and educate.
Yeah, well, co-investors have to listen.
And you're telling me admissions people don't, huh?
They can stop listening and just say you're not getting into themselves, and then they can think about, their flight home. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's why you want to get to the point. Every word counts. Every sentence counts.
Look, I don't mean to be scary or tough. You're a great candidate. People like you get dinged for screwing up the interview. And by screwing up the interview, I don't mean, becoming inarticulate or crying or rolling on the floor.
Because you're very articulate.
I just mean giving an interview where the interviewer says, this person can't organize her thoughts correctly. She's long-winded. If I were sitting next to her in class and she got called on, I'd go, oh boy, now I got to listen to her. Okay. That's the way people get dinged.
Yeah, you want to be direct and to the point.
Once again, I don't want to scare you, but the interviewer is looking to ding people. They're not looking for superstars. They've got a brief. Whatever it is, they interview 11 people and they sort of have to ding 3.
Now, let me ask a question, because I think this would come up in an interview, given your resume. You say you've trained 3 female executives to summit Kilimanjaro. How in the world did that happen?
I was very involved in the local ultra running community and came to know about this founder who founded the nonprofit and sort of volunteered, and they went on to organize an expedition to climb Kilimanjaro. And because of my experience in endurance sport, I was tapped to become their trainer.
Great.
What, if you had to do your experience, this is a classic question. If you had to do your undergraduate experience again at Georgetown, what would you do differently?
I think I would take more computer science courses.
You're a listener of these sessions.
Sorry, is that a wrong answer or a
No, it's a very good answer. It's a very good answer.
It's a perfect answer. That's why we keep telling people to say it.
It's a very good answer,
honestly,
especially for someone who's not a STEM grad.
Yeah, it's a good answer for you, since it's a good answer for anyone, and you haven't taken it. It's not a good answer for a computer science.
Perfect answer.
Yeah. What else would you do differently?
I think I would try to venture out and join some more, out of the box clubs because I was very focused on just doing international politics. But I wanted to try more things, with I don't know, like cooking club or eating club, and be
Okay,
more involved in the local.
how did you like Paris? You spent the spring semester at SciPo. What was that like?
It was excellent. It was my study abroad. I actually had a minor in French. I just didn't put it on my resume. And
Yes,
so
you
all
did.
of the, oh, I did? Okay, excellent. So the entire coursework is in French. I got better in the French language. I really, interacted with French classmates, immersed myself in French culture.
Here's one of
And,
their classic. What was unexpected when you got there? That's one of their unexpected.
that
If you
French
want to
classmates
prepare,
are not
please
very
let me
friendly.
just give some general advice for folks. If you want to prepare for particularly your HBS interview, go through every line on your resume and have an answer for what was unexpected. What was unexpected when you joined Primavera? What was unexpected about the acquisition of the Meade Johnson deal? What was unexpected about blah, blah, blah? It's one of their favorite questions.
So Zoe, what was unexpected about your exchange program in France?
That French classmates weren't exactly welcoming because I was an international student from China in the US, high school and then college. And I think American classmates were a lot more open about foreigners and were eager to make friends. Whereas I think I had to definitely put myself out there a bit more with my French classmates. But it all turned out great. We drank a lot of wine. We had a fun time. I learned French from them, but it was tough to begin with at the
Sure.
beginning.
That's an honest answer, John. Do you think that's a dangerous answer?
No, I like the answer. I think it also fulfills our American stereotypes of the French, particularly the Parisians.
Good. What was unexpected about the academic program?
It was very different. It was very lecture based. There wasn't a lot of classroom discussion. So again, it was a diversion from what I was used to back in the States.
That's a better answer rather than
good
what was
answer.
unexpected was how annoying and unwelcoming and snobby the French are.
You don't want to put down the French, though.
That's my point. You don't. That's
Yes.
right. Even if it's true. What was unexpected was that a lot of the coursework was lecture based, and there was very little interaction between the students and the teachers. Did you get used to that, or was that, looking back, was that a deficiency in the program?
I don't think it's a deficiency. I actually think it helped me become a more independent thinker, just because a lot of the responsibility was on me to pursuing deep knowledge and to, ask professors questions versus, I think in US colleges, professors were always there to help, always there to facilitate conversations. I definitely had to take that extra mile in the French classroom to gain more knowledge. So I think it actually helped me grow as a scholar.
Is that answer too much, John?
No, yeah, but it's a great answer though, because it's not a weakness; it's a cultural difference.
I would say, yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It was an annoyance, and I was able to overcome it by working hard, and it had a kind of secondary advantage in that I had to go out of my way to make friends with French professors. Then they might say, well, did you do that?
Yeah, I certainly got invited to their house parties. I would consider that making friends. I think overall, they're also different from US professors in the sense that a lot of them they have a different role in another organization. So more guest lectures than tenure professors. So it was very inspiring to hear about what they're doing at their main job. And that added a lot to my knowledge.
That is interesting. Good.
Now, Sandy, let me raise a point that you just brought up. Your first answer was, yeah, it is an annoyance. And Zoe didn't put it that way. And I wonder if her more diplomatic response is the smarter way to go, as opposed to saying, yeah, it annoyed me.
Yeah. There's no right answer to that. The interviewer could blame you for either one. If you gave my answer, the interview could say, boy, what a naysayer and bleak person you are. If you gave her answer, there's a real danger the interviewer might say, this is all scripted baloney, and this person's not being honest with me. So I think what you have to do is figure out which answer you're going to give and then try and give it in a nuanced and unscripted way, no matter which version of it you give. Said it before, I'll say it again. The purpose of the interview is not to screw up. It's not to make point. People think the interview is where they're going to make their case and they're trying to show off. That is not what the interview is about. The interview is about filtering out people you don't want to sit next to.
Do no harm.
You do no harm, exactly. It's tough advice to take, particularly, within the excitement and the speed of the interview and for most people, the new experience of the interview process. But bear that in mind. Don't show off, just answer their questions and do no harm.
So Sandy, what do you think Zoe's chances are at Harvard and Stanford?
I think her chances of being interviewed, as you pointed out, with a 3.9 and a 770 and working for a pretty interesting capital group in China, all that is just great, great, great. So I think her chances of being interviewed are very high.
So in other words, if she doesn't get interviewed at each of these schools, they've made a mistake.
Well, who cares who made a mistake? You just
I'm gonna say, if you don't get interviewed by all 4 schools, there's something screwy going on at these schools. Let me tell you.
Possibly. You haven't read the rest of her application.
That's true. We haven't read your essay, so we don't know. But you're right. But
who are your
how
recommenders?
You are and thoughtful. I can't imagine.
Hey Zoe, I don't mean to get you nervous. I'm just pointing out that it's hard to get into Harvard and Stanford Business School, and
yes,
many unbelievably qualified people don't, because of bad luck or the school's stupidity, or some little thing sets them off. It's very hard to have 10 highly qualified people and to ding 3 of them. Odd things can happen. Don't get me wrong. I just want to point that out. You're a very, very powerful candidate.
Thank you. Thank you.
So here's the next thing. After she gets interviewed by all these schools, what are her odds of getting admitted, do you think?
It depends how the interview goes.
Let's say it goes, she does no harm and it goes well, not exceptionally, but it goes well.
She should get in.
Right.
She's got a really powerful story. There's no getting around that. I'm just trying to, for educational purposes, not sadistic purposes, I'm just trying to explain how people like you don't get in. I think you will get in, but if you didn't get in, I wouldn't fall off my chair and say, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
Well, I'll fall off my chair. But I fall off chairs more easily than you do.
Well, yeah, John and I are reverting to our Abbott and Costello roles here.
Well, Sandy, definitely, if I did end up getting interviews, I hope your agency will have capacity. I'll definitely hire for that interview prep. I think I would benefit from that.
And Sandy's good because he's tough, and that's what you want. You want someone who's tough like that, because that's very helpful. Okay,
Absolutely.
well, hey,
Absolutely.
Zoe, good luck to you. Hey, please let us know how it all turns out. We'd love to know. And if we can be of any help to you in the future, let us know as well. Look, I'm so sold. You are getting in. If you don't, I'm going to call up each of these admission directors and give them hell. How about that?
John has sway with these admissions directors.
There you go.
John, I hope that doesn't happen, but if it does, I'll take you up on it for sure.
Very good. Do so. Sandy, thanks again for terrific, really mock interview. Even I learned a lot, I have to say, after doing all of these many sessions with you over many years.
Good.
So this is John Byrne with Poets and Quants. You've been watching Fridays with Sandy. See you next week.
Adios, everybody.